Well, Grant, here we are again.
I love today.
I feel like you borrowed that shirt from me.
Well,
is it a little snug?
This is your shirt, and you're getting pretty thin there. And
I don't know about that. It's a challenge every day. My body wants to be like 400 pounds. Well, it's desperate.
I told you I got I got down 10 pounds lighter, and my body kept saying,
"Who am I?
Hey,
What's going on?
Who's this skinny guy?" Let's talk about what we got here.
So some of you who are watching, and I say some, and I make that sound like more than it probably is. But those of you that are watching and listening and participating, first of all, thank you. Second of all, today we are celebrating our friend Dave Arbetter for no particular reason other than he's owned a great business since the 1950s.
Yes, but the real reason we have it here is why.
Well, you're about to see the great reveal. I think most of you know that before I had gotten sick, we dedicated the Tater Tots at Arbetter's, and they became known as the Trowbridge Tots.
Which camera should we go
Or
to?
I sort of call
right
them
here?
Tro Tots for short.
There they are,
These
baby.
beautiful golden nuggets of goodness. First of all, when I was growing up, every Friday in the school cafeteria, there's a little cheese sauce too. Might as well go.
Can I open my hot dog?
Yes. Grant got himself a wiener. I'm not sure which one that is. Oh, it has like little sticks on it.
Mm-hmm.
Does that one have a particular name? I love how you just go in for... If there was a gold medal for hot dog eating, my friend...
Speaking about gold medals, we need to talk about that too.
Well, I don't want to give away any spoilers for today because I know a couple things about today.
What do you mean?
Well, because I was at Fleming's and they had it on TV, and all of a sudden I'm staring up at the gymnastics. And so, you know, we're not talking about the women and the team competition. Got it? Anyway, Tro Tots were dedicated. Thank you, Dave. And there's no greater place that I love to go and have them than at Arbetter's. Sometimes, you know, we have our little men's group get together on Sunday morning, and we have Tro Tots for breakfast. You and me and Michael and Wayne and Dave, and it's always a great time. They open at like 10:28, so what a great opportunity to get there early. It's always a crowd. I don't care what time of day, week, night. Everybody is in line for a Tro Tot, for a Grant Miller dog, whatever it may be. So, as I was saying, when I was growing up in elementary school, every Friday was, if you bought your lunch, it was like 50 cents. My aunt was the lunch lady.
Onions, Tro Tots.
Aunt Joanne. And you could have a burger and tater tots. And they were delicious. They came right out of that fryer, piping hot. I would usually burn my tongue because, you know, I have no patience. And I would look at Aunt Joanne and act like, come on, we're family. I'm your favorite nephew. Why would you not throw me a few more tots on my plate? She was by the book, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Just like Mother Trowbridge, by the book. So no extra tots for me, but I grew up loving them. And now if you've got tots on your menu, I either know about it or I want to know about it. When I was visiting my mom a couple weeks ago, we were up in Melbourne, Florida. And this I did not know.
What?
You can get tater tots at Cracker Barrel. And they put cheese on them and bacon and sour cream. Delicious. Delicious. But we always come home to what we know and love. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Trowbridge Tots. And Grant, thank you for picking these up and for wearing that shirt. So how's your week been? I feel like maybe we're on a break.
Well,
like you haven't talked to me. I've seen you in some videos. You've been cheating on me with other chambers big time.
What chamber?
I don't know. I feel like I saw you. Were you in a pig costume?
Yeah, that was here.
Oh, that was here.
A pig roast.
Oh, the pig roast. That wasn't a chamber.
No.
Miami Lakes? I didn't even know you know how to get to Miami Lakes. Were you up there supporting the late Bob Graham? What were you doing up there?
Lorenzo and I got lost, right, Lorenzo?
First of all, Lorenzo's the only thing that keeps you from literally being in a canal.
Well.
Or, do you remember Tilly Tudor?
No.
The woman who went off the side of, I think it was the Palmetto.
I-95.
Or 95, and ended up like in a tree brush, and no one could see her or find us before GPS and cell phones. And she survived. Oh, more than a week. How did she survive? She had no water. She had like a half of a protein bar. She took the button, one of the buttons off of her sweater, and she sucked on it to create more saliva.
And she wasn't a spring
She was probably in her 80s.
All right.
I will never forget. She was my hero, Tilly Tater. She's since passed away, but she survived until they found her. And someone saw like the guardrail dented, or they thought they saw something in the brush, and they saved her. That was our Tilly. Could you live off sucking on a button?
No.
That hot dog disappeared awfully quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I was hungry. All right, so...
Lorenzo, be ready with the Pepto.
All right, so pretty exciting things going on.
Yeah.
Speaking about Marlins, they just did that trade. Was that a trade?
Well, they traded Jazz, but they also traded A.J. Puck, didn't they? A couple guys.
Jazz is so happy.
Where did he go?
The Yankees.
Oh, yeah.
You know, people get confused.
So is he in the outfield with Aaron Judge, or is he not playing every day?
Well, we just started. People are a little confused. Our owner, the lead owner of the Marlins, his job is to make money. He's not a billionaire.
Sure.
So he has to keep his costs down and figure out, how to make money and justify it to his other board stockholders.
The other investors, That's not easy to do. You remember, there are, 30 or 32 teams in Major League Baseball? Only one's going to win it all. Only, 6 or 8 are going to make the playoffs. So a lot of teams are going to have, just regular seasons.
Right, and they're just trying to make some money.
Yeah.
Let's talk about...
You know what? The Marlins have a great front office. Their leadership is fantastic. So Caroline, their CEO, president, gotten to know her, and she's terrific. Put together a lot of good folks, and they're super dedicated.
Caroline,
I love that.
She's not just a businesswoman. She's
Caroline
a mom.
O'Connor.
She's a mom. She goes to her son's base. She has 2 boys. Her husband was the catcher for Clemson that beat UM in the World Series.
I didn't know that. Like the head coach?
No, he was the catcher.
Oh, the catcher. I thought you said the coach.
No.
I'm like, well,
So,
Clemson.
So we had a little disaster.
They beat them in the World Series?
I think
Weren't they both in the ACC then? That's that was like Florida last year with LSU. That was
maybe
horrible.
that to get to the World Series.
Oh.
So, speak about sports.
You know who his coach probably was?
Who?
Our coach at Florida, because he was at Clemson before he came to Florida, Sully.
So, Florida's schedule, I was looking at your Florida schedule.
The hardest in the NCAA.
The last 5 games, who scheduled that? That's murder row.
Well, some of it's the SEC, dude.
Right.
They scheduled that.
But you got a tough series.
The general feeling is that we'll go 7-5.
That's a great season.
And probably lose 4 of the last 5.
Right.
We'll win everything else. We'll have an early loss maybe against Tennessee.
Well, the prediction is, to me, UM and Florida, it's make or break the first game. That is huge.
Well, it is the first game because it's August 31st.
But it's a make or break.
Yeah, and you've got has a new quarterback.
And a new running back. This kid Martinez is supposed to be unbelievable.
So, there's not a lot of, ability to prepare for them other than just, good techniques. So you won't have seen a lot of, play other than maybe their previous teams.
Your beard looks great.
Thank you so much.
God almighty.
When you look at me that way, I feel really mixed signals.
They're not mixed.
I didn't think so. So more importantly, August 31st, we'll be here in,
No, it's going to be in...
It's in Gainesville, but it'll be here like this on the calendar.
Yeah, but you're not going.
A month. No, the problem is that game I think is at 3:30.
You told me that.
Gainesville.
You talked me out of it.
God, it's so hot. I'm worried about. The players will be pretty well conditioned because they're Florida guys, and they practice in the heat. And Mario's going to have those guys out, on Green Tree, not in the bubble.
No,
unless it's raining. He's going to have them out there. Conditioning and everything, and I'm sure Billy will do the same thing. They're both starting their 3rd year, so it's make or break for them too, I would think.
Oh, absolutely.
Certainly for Billy.
Okay,
Billy's got a great class, lined up for 25,
right? And
so is Mario, but those guys are signed up because of the coach.
All right, let's talk about soccer. The little issue we had.
Soccer?
Yes.
Hi, Michael.
Where's my dog, baby? So Mark, Grant.
Hey.
Good to see you. What was your question?
The soccer tournament.
In the Olympics?
No, the soccer tournament here.
Oh, Copa.
Copa. How did that happen?
I honestly don't know. My niece went to the game. She's Colombian.
Did she get a seat? Did she get her
She
seat?
got into the stadium, but was a little bit frightened by the process. And then the crowd was pretty unsettled at that point because people were in seats that weren't theirs and they were filling the rows. Not really sure how they got in, but,
Did she get to use her seat?
I'm not sure if she ever got to her seat. She didn't stay for the game. She
went home.
She left. And when she went to leave, the police told her to wait because it was too dangerous for her to go back through the turnstiles because people were throwing items and objects over the fence. So they had to wait for that to kind of die down. And then she just got in an Uber. She was very emotional.
Luckily, she got into an Uber.
She got home safely. Thank goodness. But I know she was very frightened.
Yeah, I don't care who it is. When you see that type of crowd, you got to be a little nervous.
Yeah. And, it's just strange to me because they've certainly handled large crowds for other events.
And how did they not?
Dolphins games that are mostly sellouts. I mean,
well, it's luckily it happened because they'll be prepared for World Cup.
I hope so. I mean, there's going to be 7 games here, so
right. And I think they're going to move the security out. They're going to move the security all the way out.
Yeah, and one of the things here that I think is great is that people aren't afraid to kind of hold the mirror up to themselves, figure out what didn't work, what did work, take into consideration, all of the variables and then move forward with that. But and I only know how scary it was through her eyes and her texts, and I don't feel safe. She's from Cali, Colombia.
But where does she live?
She lives where I live.
Oh, right.
Miami Springs.
Okay. Yeah. It's when you look at that violence, and not physical, I mean, it's scary. People running and climbing. It looks scary to me.
Yeah, again, I think a lot of it was the element of, the unknown. Like nobody expected it to be that, crowded, that aggressive. And I think, the staff was just overwhelmed. I also heard that a lot of the personnel didn't speak Spanish. And so questions that, would normally be answered.
You mean the police or you mean everything?
Everything. Not so much the police, but I think the staff working at the stadium.
I'm sure that.
And things like that maybe weren't as, equipped in terms of, being bilingual. So, you have to look at everything. And that will be the issue with the World Cup.
You worked on the Super Bowl.
I did. I worked on 2.
And how did you prepare for that?
33, and then the last one that was
You were in charge of the volunteers one year?
In 33, I was a volunteer director.
And how many volunteers did you have?
We had about 8,500.
Not just for the Super Bowl, all the events.
Yeah, it was for everything related to the host committee, the Super Bowl. And so it was a very interesting experience because I was one of the few people hired that wasn't like an on-loan executive. So a number of our folks
So what were you working before?
Before that, I had been at UM, and then I left my student activities job to go and become the director of volunteers. It was a nice raise and a big high-profile job. I would tell you that every relationship now in my community emanated from working at the Super Bowl.
See, I totally forgot you worked at UM because Diane...
7 years.
Diane, the clerk of the court's assistant, blonde curly hair, says, Mark was at UM with my brother.
Oh, yeah.
And I go, Mark didn't go to UM. She said,
she works for Juan Barquin, Diana.
Right. And she's telling me this. I go, no.
Yeah, I knew her brother, 1993, 94?
I used to wait.
He's a doctor now.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, UM was a great experience to come here and have as your first job. I was 23, 24. So, you're young, you're enthusiastic, you're energetic. It was definitely, a university that, was on the rise, Tad Foote had come in and, built it into
a dynasty.
Just a much higher profile
Stanton, who was before
program.
that?
Henry King, Stanford.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, UM's only had a few presidents. I mean, they've served for a long time. Tad Foote served for 20 years.
This one's gone.
President Shalala served for 14. And President Frank's been there almost 10. Those are long
10 years. Is that,
10 years for presidents.
it flew by.
It did. I remember 3.5 of that was COVID, and he was quite a leader in the COVID space.
And, I don't follow it, but I know that what he did, the best thing he did is that COVID arrangement. He got us to the next level.
I remember we were able to interview him. It was a Zoom luncheon. So we were doing, bring your own lunch. And, most people were working at home or, literally in their car or wherever it may be, or maybe being the only person at their office. And he was kind enough to agree to speak to our membership. And so we did a pre-test of the Zoom. He wanted to check the background. He was doing it from home, the presidential home. And
that's off of Red Road, right?
Yeah, in Fort Phillies.
Given that land was given by what? Senator?
Smathers family. Senator's brother.
Oh, brother.
Yeah, Frank Smathers.
Ah.
Yeah, the brother. I mean, they were both very wealthy brothers, but the brother was George.
Have you been on that property?
And I have never been.
Neither.
And he was George was the United States senator.
And weren't they in the horse business? Didn't they have horses?
I'm not really sure where their money was from, but they owned a lot of land. That Fort Phillies down that was later developed into a lot of housing and things.
UM housing.
Beautiful. Yeah, for professors, and of course the presidential home is there now. When I first was at UM, the presidential house was on Old Cutler. And so back then when Tad Foote was president and I was director of student activities, every year for graduation, all of the students that were graduating were invited to his home for a picnic.
Wow.
So you'd have a couple thousand kids invited. Not all of them would come, but undergraduates, law, graduate, and medical were all invited. And so he would host them at his home. And so I remember one of my staff was out on family leave. And so I was overseeing the event with my assistant director. And so, we drive out there, the caterers are all set up in the backyard. But President Foote liked the students that were graduating to walk through the front of the house. They had their name tag on, Grant Miller. He'd shake your hand and say, "Congratulations, Grant." Look you in the eye. And then we'd whisk you out to the backyard by the pool. And because you were a senior or a graduate student or soon to be a graduate, they served beer.
Back then it was 18.
No, it was 21, but we served beer. Most the kids were all 21 or older. So I remember meeting with his staff and I asked them, I said, "So we do the beer, right?" They go, "Oh, yes, we've never had an issue. The students are very polite, but it's an open bar for beer."
Wow.
So we get out there. It's like a Thursday afternoon. It's warm because it's May. And I go to open the front door because, it's kind of a common area.
Right.
The living areas are upstairs.
The cops
It's locked.
Oh.
So, I'm like, oh. So I ring the doorbell. No one answers. Ring the doorbell. No one answers. Knock on the door. No one answers. There's no one home. Our event is starting in like 30 minutes. And hundreds of students are coming, So I had like a cell phone that, barely worked. It was like a flip phone. I called my office. They're like, "Well, the first bus is on its way." And I'm like, oh. At that moment, President Foote had a driver who drove him in a Country Squire station wagon.
Okay.
So the car comes racing down. There was a circular driveway. Comes racing down the driveway. He pops out. He's a little disheveled, and he runs toward the door, and it's locked. Kind of runs into the door.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Why is the door locked?" I said, "Mr. President, no one's home. No one's answering the door." "What?" "No, my wife is home." And I'm like, caterers are out back. No one's answering. He doesn't carry keys, by the way. Like a president probably wouldn't. He has no keys. So he starts banging on the door. Well, a maintenance guy answers the door. He goes in because he wants to change. His driver comes to the porch where I'm standing, and he hands me the president's briefcase. Now, it's so full, it's like a taco. It doesn't shut. And he goes, "Take that inside." So I go in. I've never been in that part of the house, ever. It's like a nice foyer, and so I go in the kitchen. I put it on the kitchen table. I come back out. The first bus is there. So we have them line up. I have some student staff helping me, and they put their tag on. Now, it's May, so almost all of the young ladies are in strapless or very thin strapped dresses because you have to dress nice.
Okay.
No shorts, whatever. And, there's no place to put their name tag
Right.
because it's their bare skin.
Right.
And so I'm like, well, can you sort of, you have to have it on because he must
People read your names.
say your name. That's his thing.
Okay.
Grant Miller, Mark Trowbridge. These ladies were very non-compliant. They'd put it on their purse.
Funny.
They'd put it down on their hip. They'd hold it. So anyway, we get in, and it's the president, his wife in the receiving line, the vice president. By the way, all these people were in the house.
Nobody answered the door.
And no one answered the door when I was knocking on it. Anyway, I don't know what was going on, but whatever, we get through it. About an hour in, as it does in May, around 6 o'clock, starts to rain. Okay? So it rained heavy for a moment. Well, all the bartenders abandoned their bars. So the students are running the bars now. Now we have some students in the pool. And
Swimming.
yeah, in their clothes.
And where's the president?
I wasn't sure.
Wait, did they already graduate? Or
No,
they're
they
about
were
to?
graduating in about a week and a half. So there's a little path in the old house behind some trees where you can walk to the garage where the catering is being staged and they're bringing the food out. And so I walked there and it's under an overhang, so it was dry. And the president is standing there. And I go, President Foote, it's raining. He goes, yes. He's enjoying himself. And I said, President Foote, some students are in the pool. Yes.
Did he sip again?
He's just talking. And I said, I want to apologize that some of the students have gone upstairs and now your white carpet is very muddy. Are they having a good time? I said, honestly, I think they're having a great time. He goes, that's all that matters. That was it.
Because what are you going to do? You going to arrest the kids?
No. But I was certainly spoken to
By your boss.
by my boss
Who was your boss then?
and others the next day.
Who was your boss?
It may have been Patricia Whiteley. It may have been Richard Walker. I can't
Are they still around?
remember. Oh, yeah. Patricia Whiteley's still in the same
Position.
role at the university. Richard is the president of University of Houston, Clear Lake.
Wow.
So he's done,
Oh,
they
wait.
both have done very well.
You have two.
No, I was maybe not cut out for that experience. I was a lot like I was when I worked like at the parking authority. I was the guy asking.
Was your parking authority before you or after you?
After. A few years after. I was the guy that was very like, why are we charging for parking?
Wait, so
It's
after
our whole livelihood,
So
but I
from-
was wondering.
parking authority, you went then to the chamber?
Yeah. When the
How long-
parking,
How long you been at the chamber? The chamber.
my anniversary is next week, 18 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Has anybody been there longer than you?
At the moment, yes. Ileana's been there.
No,
going on
I'm
20.
talking about executive.
Oh, no. The longest serving executive, I think, was
Robertson?
Ron Robeson at 12, 13 years. Yeah, he had a nice run. Then maybe Colonel Shagan.
That's
Or,
a
no, I'm not right about that.
Was
Maybe Lynn Pagano. It goes back
long
before
time
my
ago. Long time ago.
Yeah. I mean, I've only heard about some of these folks because of really, wonderful members who've been around for a while, like Ron Sheffield and Louis Chappie.
So I didn't know
Yeah.
our boy Patrick moved.
Patrick moved in May.
Okay, so you last event, last show, you're talking to Patrick. And I go,
Yeah, he was on the phone with me when I drove over.
so
here.
I called him that night.
Oh, you didn't know?
No. And I said, by the way, my son lives there. So we started talking, and I asked him why he moved to Atlanta, blah, 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 blah. My son's house is about 8 minutes away from his office.
Oh, nice. In Buckhead.
Yeah, but his office is not, he lives in, whatever. It's 10, so I'm going up this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to see Patrick. I'm going to go see
Well-
I'm going to go see the Marlins play the Braves.
Oh, yeah. How are the Braves doing? They had a slow start.
Yeah.
Did they recover? Are they like in wild card contention?
Yeah, they were trying to get in wild card. But I tell you what, that stadium, Braves, is just unbelievable.
Well, that's the third stadium since I became a Braves fan because I started in college, high school, and they were at Fulton County then.
Right.
And then they got the next one, and now they're on a third one.
But this one,
You know how we fought here for years just to get one?
and the Braves, they built a whole community outside the stadium, apartment complex.
Is it in Gwinnett?
I don't know where it is, but all I know is you pull up, and there's just their
Restaurants. And,
They say 20,000 people go to the game
yeah.
who don't have tickets to stay outside at all the bars, the restaurants. And they have an area of probably 1,000 people could sit in the grass, watch a big screen, but you could hear the game right over here because the stadium's open. I just love that stuff.
Well, I have to tell you, I really only became a Braves fan when we moved to Florida when I was like 15.
And we didn't have a team.
Because there was no team in Florida.
And
they were on TV every day.
And Hank Aaron was playing.
Yeah, he wasn't playing then. But you know who the all-star was every year? They always had the one all-star.
Chip?
Dale Murphy.
Oh.
Before Chipper Jones. Larry.
I forget how old you are now.
Thank you.
How old are you now? 50?
I'm 56 now.
56?
I know. Shocking.
You look dashed. You never look better.
I don't know about that. But thank you.
Have you started your routine yet? Exercise routine?
No, I should be cleared, I hope, by August 1, because Thursday is when I see my oncologist for my 15-month checkup. And we'll be doing some blood work. I'll have a biopsy and make sure everything's still going in the right
What's
direction.
the difference between a biopsy and work of blood?
The biopsy requires me to be face down on a bed. You might be familiar with that. Face down on a bed, and they drive 3 nails basically into my hip, because hip is the pelvis is where. That's a good one, right? Thank you, Lorenzo. The pelvis is where a bone marrow is made.
So when I was 6th grade, 1969,
Yeah.
I had a myelogram,
Okay.
and they pin you down,
Yeah.
and they go to the bottom of your back and draw all the
Yeah, sure.
out of
Similar.
it. I got that done twice.
So
And
they
it
remove
hurts.
3, those 3 vials of marrow, and then they send it off. You get the results, and then they send it off.
Again?
Well, they send it, I think, to another clinic that does molecular testing. So what we know about my remission is that I am, there's no measurable residual disease.
So how's
But
your
that
book?
doesn't mean it's completely gone. It's just not measurable. So it could be
Just hiding.
hiding. But I will always be, I will always have multiple myeloma, even if I'm in remission.
Wait, how's your book coming along?
So it's funny you mentioned that. I talked to this woman today. I was telling her about it. I've identified 6 people. So it's a book I'm doing with Linda Knudsen, one of our past chairs, about the multiple myeloma journey.
Where's she living?
She's up in Boca area.
She was great.
She's the best. She had multiple myeloma for 9 years. I've had it for
As
about
a
15
chamber,
months. She may have had it when she was chair and was maybe not diagnosed, or she wasn't.
You know what I loved about
They
her?
didn't know as much about it as we know she's 10 years now. And she had her transplant 100 days before I did.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah. So she gave me, she was like, in the cave first and knew the way out. And I'm doing that now for
Another friend.
another friend who had her transplant about 4 weeks ago. So it's a really great gift.
The person that you're talking to,
Yeah, Laura.
did you know that person before?
Yeah. Laura, I knew through Amy Donner,
Laura.
but mostly through Andrea Hanley Dickinson. And so we used to socialize periodically. I knew her kids because her daughter was best friends with Andrea's daughters, and she worked at Tarpon Bend, Savannah, Sweet Cal.
How is he doing, Tarpon Bend guy?
I think Wayne's doing great. He's in like Sonoma, or I don't know. He's drinking wine right now.
I saw him at some restaurant.
Well, he's running all the restaurants at the Thesis.
Oh, I didn't know.
So he's running Mamay. He's running Mamay on 3rd, which is the bar. And then he started his own concept called the Collab.
There.
Yeah, everything's there. So as always, Wayne,
He's out of the box.
he's got the Midas touch. He's such a brilliant business owner, restaurateur. We love working with him. He was a great chairman. The only restaurateur we've ever had is chairman.
Well, and top it all,
So,
that profession is hard. What he did,
oh, sure.
how many hours was as a restaurant owner, and then you got to do the chamber. It was above beyond to do.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there was a lot of opportunities for alignment and coalescence, but no, he already was working, 20-hour days because that's just how the restaurant world works. I grew up in that environment, watched my father do that for years and years, and then, worked with him, when I was in junior high and high school, washing dishes and stuff like that. But
I do that at Anna Capri. I clean the dishes too.
yeah, but you're doing it for free food.
Oh, yeah. Good point.
I'm doing it because my father threatened to not allow me to sleep in the house. It was the 70s, so you could be a little bit abusive to your kids. But look how I turned out. I'm only slightly confused and crazy.
So, slightly?
Well, that is in the eye of the beholder.
Oh,
People always ask me, well, how did you and Grant get so connected? And I said, I have
online.
to tell.
Wasn't it online?
No, I said on Tinder.
Yeah, didn't you find me there?
No.
Oh.
I don't mean to be rude, but I wouldn't swipe left or right on you. I would throw my phone in the trash. No, that's so mean. I'm like, humor is coming back really snarky.
I love it. Left, right, no.
I tell people that I have to tell the story because you really wouldn't remember because you're not as sentimental as I am about certain things. But I mean, obviously we've known each other since I started the chamber. And what I always knew about Grant was he never came inside. He always stood in the back. He never registered for anything, but he'd just show up, kind of wander around, and then he'd leave. But he was really close to Erica on my staff because he knew her from Chamber South, and he knew Rosa, and then of course she came to work with me for many years, and so that was a connection. And then we did some barter and deals like that were really great, and I think our ability to kind of connect was very genuine. And then COVID came, and Grant. I think I was like the only chamber president you could get a hold of.
Well, the other ones were hiding.
I was in my office, and he's like, let's do something.
Is that great?
And I'm like, what do you want to do? And he's like, I don't know, we could make videos or you could write articles. And so we just started doing that every day, giving updates because, we were telling not just our members, but every business,
So I ran into somebody.
Resources.
I ran into somebody just a couple hours ago, and he says, I didn't know we were going to get out of it. He
Out of COVID?
Yeah, he thought that we were going to all die, this person. A businessman. He said, I don't know if
I think that's fair. I mean, the fact that the pharmaceutical community, the federal government, and others got a vaccine together legitimately in a period of a year or less than a year is something magical, because how long did it take us to do that for polio? We're still in search of that for
cancer,
other diseases and other ailments. And, medicine takes major leaps every year, but man, that was something amazing. And, it was uniquely American in our collaboration, and other countries were doing it too. And we were learning from each other. But can you imagine the world being so collaborative? It would really go a long way in not only peace and prosperity, but just having the best things at your fingertips. There are things that, medications in Europe that aren't available here because of FDA that people swear by. And I don't want to get into a
debate about that. Especially now with politics.
The more that we collaborate, I think the better we are as a human race.
Wow.
Because people learn
Kumbaya, my lord.
Good things about other people. I didn't know you that well. And then we started hanging out, and I was like, I love this guy.
I'm just a regular, short, bald, chunky.
I don't think any of that is true. There's nothing regular about you. You genuinely care about people.
So
you want businesses to be successful. You will show up. And I remember one day, I don't remember who was doing the camera. We were going to go and promote a gelato place in the Gables.
Right.
Try to help them out because they were struggling. The door was locked when we got there.
Right.
We had worked it out with the owner to be there like at 1:30.
It's right on the corner.
Close. And so there was someone in there, and he came to the door, and he barely unlocked it and kind of peeked out the crack of the door. And I said, "Hey, we're here. We're going to do this video." And he's pulled the door closed, and he goes, "We're closed." And I said, "No, but your owner, no." And so we did the video outside, and we kind of did a little tongue in cheek that people were, lined up to get inside. But it's just one of those things where you were so nonchalant about that. I was irritated.
I know.
I was irritated because you had come over with a camera person. We had organized it. We were literally paving the road of best intentions.
We had so many restaurants we ate at. My God, think about it.
But that is so genuine, and there aren't a lot of people like that. Today I talked to a woman who I probably haven't talked to since before I was ill, and
did she know you were ill?
She did.
Oh,
and
not everybody knows.
No. I had a woman today not recognize me, and I watched her be very confused for a while, and then I finally went over and helped her out, and her jaw was like dropped open, and I was wearing a mask, so I understand some of that. I'm not off put by that in any way, shape, or form.
Oh wait, Coral Gables is running smoothly.
Things are, better. I like to think it's because I'm
you're
back in the saddle and talking to people
and you're mending fences
off the record, and
mending
let's
fences.
Work together. Let's collaborate. But it's far beyond me. We have a lot of great things that are happening right now with some incredible new businesses that have come in, and we're celebrating their being here and choosing Coral Gables.
What's happening is downtown is almost not affordable to be there. Businesses, not enough, and I just see more businesses.
It's affordability, it's accessibility, it's approachability. It's all the A's.
Well, and the transit in Coral Gables is pretty good.
I think if you want to drive in and park, you'll be okay. If you want to use the metro and then use the trolley and then a freebie to your point to point, we have all of that.
It's changed.
All of the assets are there. Freebie just elevated their products with Tesla with us. We just dedicated that last Thursday. It was cool to be there and see that. But that's been a labor of love because we tap into our half penny sales tax that all of us pay into. But we have a mayor who's very focused on mobility and commissioners who support that
as a team.
And that's a common language that they can speak together. Whether it's expanding the trolley to Saturday, that was the mayor's initiative, and now when I saw him at the event, he talked about Sunday, and I think it's great. If people know that, they can get around that easily. I walked to a luncheon today, about 5 blocks, and, I don't sweat as much as I used to, which is kind of cool because it's warm out, and I need the exercise, and the walking is great for my legs and flexibility. But I got there, and everyone's like,
you walked in the heat?
How did you get here? And I'm like, I walked. And they just look horrified. And maybe it's because before I used to be so much lazier, and I was so much heavier. But the walk is great. First of all, when you walk, you can observe. I can see what's going on. New businesses. Is the street clean? Are the bushes needing trimmed? How are people interacting with each other? What's the hustle? What's the bustle?
So when I work out in the morning, sometimes I go on the treadmill, but I prefer to walk on the street. Right. Like my son lives Flagler and Biscayne, or 50 Biscayne.
Okay.
Right across from the park, downtown. And everybody says, all these homeless people all over the park. I get there at 7 o'clock. I'm supposed to meet them at 8. I walk that park. That park is beautiful. Bicentennial Park. The view is just incredible. The fountain still needs to be worked on.
It was always meant to be, the downtown's front yard.
But the point I'm trying to say...
one of the first book fairs was there. It was called Books by the Bay before it ended up at Miami-Dade College. A lot of people don't know that. Yeah, I love the history of that park. And there's great art in that park.
Beautiful. But the point of it is, I like walk on the streets because, like, another day I walked throughout downtown. I said, the park's good. Downtown's kind of rough.
Yeah, sometimes the sidewalks aren't super clean and there's a lot of garbage.
But
you have some homeless issues.
Yeah, but the city has people at 7 o'clock in the morning cleaning.
There's a company called, I think, Block by Block that we use, that I know Miami Beach uses, and they're not inexpensive, but it's worth the investment.
They're out there.
Everybody wants to come to a community where the streets are clean and the sidewalks are, clean and they're in repair. I was thinking several years ago when I went to Buenos Aires, and we went for a walk early in the morning. It was a beautiful July day, so it was cool out. It's winter, not cold, but cool. And all the shopkeepers were opening their stores, 7:30, 8 o'clock.
Beautiful.
The first thing that they did would roll up those shutters, and they would take a hose and they'd clean the sidewalk in front of their business. Because first of all, they had tremendous pride. And second of all, they wanted to make sure their customers would be,
Well,
greeted by that. I wish every business here did that. We augment it. Other communities do that. But at the end of the day, you're responsible for your storefront, your store windows, whatever it may be. And I think all of those things are, again, they all come together for the perfect storm. And
but
Coral Gables is really enjoying that moment.
some store owners or retailers say, well, the sidewalk's not.
Where's the cap to that pen?
I don't know. They think that in their head, the sidewalk's not their responsibility.
Some may think that.
It doesn't matter. It's public, and it makes the whole city better. And how's John Martin doing?
John Martins does great. Tony Guerra is just
He just got on your
a
board.
dynamo. He's going to be on our board in September. I love, when we have restaurant tours. Elizabeth Norris has been on our board the last couple of years. She was at Morton's, and then now she's at Trulux. You need to hear the voice of every type of business.
But the advantage is John Martin. What's his name?
Tony Guerra.
Yeah.
He's been in partnership with his two brothers.
Yeah.
They're Breakwater Hospitality.
Yeah, but compared to him, plus major chains, they're grassroots. You need grassroots restaurant people to
I
understand.
think Tony's always been that voice. But one thing I love about Tony is that he is constantly thinking of new ways to engage. His mind is always in, overdrive. And when you talk to him, he's like, Mark, I got an idea.
Mark?
Mark, might be 3. I got an idea. And
Tony.
We talk about it. And I could listen to him all day for 2 reasons. One, he's not just talking about John Martin's. He's talking genuinely about
The community,
the restaurant community, Coral Gables. And then I think secondly is that, he grew up with this. This is his passion. I grew up the same way. And while I didn't end up going into our family business, I certainly saw it. I saw the up, the down. I know when he talks what he's talking about. I know the language he's using. I know where he's coming from. I have no greater respect for business owners than probably, small business owners, restaurateurs, because I've seen it. Family-owned businesses, all of those. Certainly we love the big guys and the big gals, but those folks, every day they know whether they've made it or not. They look in the till at the end of the day.
correct. It's a
you
day-to-day operation in restaurants.
A lot of times they're the only employer. Maybe there's one other family member, or like me, I'm washing the dishes on Wednesday night at the Sea Room.
Well, the advantage of restaurants in Coral Gables, it's a destination point. People go to John Martin's. They don't go to the business next door. They go to John Martin's or whatever restaurant.
Yes.
It helps the city.
Listen, when Martin and John, left the community, closed the restaurant, and they closed really not because of COVID, but it was time in terms of their lease, but it was kind of the perfect storm. And when that building sat empty because it
hurt the whole community.
Absolutely, and not having, the activities that go with it, like soccer and St. Patrick's Day and the holidays. You're missing a whole nother segment of people and engagement and excitement. And so, that's back now. And it pulls other people. I think there are people that come to Coral Gables and they're hungry. They don't necessarily know where they want to eat. They have a couple of ideas.
And they drive around.
But they park and they're like, let's go for a walk. And then they're not too busy here. Let's go in there. Or, hey, they're having, a corned beef sandwich special. Or, hey, I saw so-and-so in there. Let's hop in there.
Whatever happened to the lease of Fritz Fran?
It got redone.
Oh, good.
They'll be around. It got redone. Harold will be, yelling at people for the next few years from Fritz and Franz and making great schnitzel and having his Blues Fest and, Oktoberfest and everything.
It's good.
It's unfortunate that all of that plays out in the media. It's unfortunate that then it plays out in the commission. It takes away from the fact that, any business deal takes time.
Burger Bob's, how's that going along?
Burger Bob's, they signed their lease with the operator / caterer. And so she'll take that over.
She caters a few of our events.
Does she? Very nice. She worked with Bob. So
I
there's a
know.
nice legacy there. I think they're going to do a contest about what to call it.
The
And
restaurant?
I will give you the $20 in my pocket that says it will stay Burger Bob's.
It's got to stay Burger Bob's.
That even if she never served another burger and just served tofu, it'd still be Burger Bob's.
It's Burger Bob's. It's no matter
But
what.
she's not going to do that, obviously. But she gave a very, I thought, sweet presentation to the commission when they were voting on her agreement.
Right.
Because it's quite a few years with some extensions in it, which you want because it's going to take time to get it up and running and hitting its stride.
Yeah.
But Rita basically turned to the commission and just said, thank you for the opportunity. This has been in my family. She brought her kids because for years the kids were involved. I grew up like that, so I really identified with that. I don't think I've ever met Rita. I couldn't tell you anything about her other than, God bless her patience, because this has been a process.
She got beat up.
It's been a process. And I think it would have been in any environment because the city needed to look under the covers and see what was going on, deal with that, look at the facility. It was going to require a lot more work than maybe originally planned. That's any project. I don't care if you're putting...
I think they built it out, right?
Oh, the city's doing it.
Yeah,
she's going to have a lease, but the city will own it. They're building
that's
it
good.
out.
That's how it should be.
It's going to be beautiful. I've seen the renderings. I have not seen or taken a tour, but I think it's going to be open by the end of the year. It's just taking time.
There's parking. People like riding their bikes there. People go to that other place,
Sure.
Victory.
It's a family tradition. I have a wonderful friend who's a retired judge now. We've been friends for over 25 years. And that was her favorite place to meet a couple times a year for breakfast.
Which one?
Burger Bob's. And so, they were never a member, so I didn't really have a lot of engagement. And, they're not in the downtown, so, it'd have to be a destination. So we would meet at 7:30. So I always had to remember two things. Cash,
Great.
because it was only a cash operation. And my omelet is going to taste like a burger, no matter what's in it.
The grill.
'Cause the grill,
Right.
that's just how Bob was, right? And he'd be at the grill. So, I'd get in there and Jackie would already be there. But there was always 2 or 3 tables of kind of the Coral Gables of that generation.
The blue herons.
Yeah, so Dr. Al Smith, who's since passed on, people like, Marlon Ebert, Gay Bondurant, Hank Langston, they'd all be there.
He's still kicking.
Oh, yeah.
How old is he?
I'm not sure. I just saw him at a Prologue event. He's great. Prologue is a book club that I'm in. But I would just tell you,
He was at Arbiter 3 months ago. I had lunch with him there. I mean, he was there.
Yeah.
And I just walked
that's
up to him.
sweet. Hank's a good man, kind man. But I just, I would look around as much as I'd be engaged in the conversation at kind of old Coral Gables, knowing that one day, days like today,
You're going to be that person, that old person.
Gosh, that they won't be here, and there'll be another generation. And I think the people that you will see at the reinvented Burger Bob's, the 2.0, will be families.
I think more
younger
families.
folks.
I think more families are going to go.
It's going to be a little bigger space, a little bit more accessible, a little more built out. I think Rita will have a little bit of a different menu because she does the catering kind of stuff too. So I just think that's the kind of thing that you hope for, you wish for. Anytime a new business comes in, you want it to be a little bit better than the business that was there before.
Absolutely.
When Office Max left North Ponce, people were annoyed that Target went in there. And I said, why? It will be busy every minute of the day.
Mobbed.
I was there this morning at 8:11. I needed to buy a gift bag for a gift I'm giving tomorrow. So I said, I'll stop at Target and I'll get a gift bag. I was there 4 minutes because that you do your own checkout.
Right.
Packed. People shopping in the grocery area, and it's not a large store.
A nice grocery area.
People, there were 2 people in the back to school area. Every one of the self-checkouts was full, so I had to wait. I love that.
Well,
that's what
it's all about.
Progress is about. That's what the Chamber has always been about. We used to do an event back in the 1920s called Progress Week.
Really?
Which was to celebrate the achievements of the Chamber and the business community and Coral Gables for the previous year. So folks, keep an eye out.
Well-
because I guarantee you, when we celebrate our 100th anniversary starting in October, Progress Week might just make a return.
Well, it's time.
You won't be invited because your progress has been slow.
Very slow. It's a time for a wrap up.
Is it?
Yeah.
You know, my friend Mario and I had dinner the other night with his wife Sarah and our dear friend Yami. And one of the things that was one of our conversations is he had listened to one of our shows.
Right.
And he goes, you know, it's interesting. It's very free flow, you know, and there's never any dead air.
Right.
And he goes, how many people listen to that?
2.
And I said, well, you're
Your
the
mom?
second. Well, you know, my mother thinks you blocked her from Facebook. And I don't tell her otherwise because it takes the
Lorenzo, he can't help it.
It takes the hot lamp off of me and puts it on you. But you know what? Mario's right. You know, there's never dead air between us. There's always something to
There's air. That's for
talk
sure.
about. And what we used to do before, which was script everything and talk about the chamber and this and that, that's great. But you can call me, folks, and I will talk to you about the chamber until you literally have the battery on your phone.
What number should they call you at?
Call us at 305-446-1657.
446 what?
1657.
All right.
Can we get that up on a Chiron? No.
No.
It's not happening. I don't even think our names are on this anymore.
Yeah, they are. Well, it's time
Did
to.
anybody reach out and want to talk to us today? No.
Yeah.
Alex is no, or you just gave up on that? Not even George? Ileana?
Nobody.
Mother Trowbridge?
Let's wrap it up.
Well, first of all, Alex is one of our lead producers. He's a very patient young man because, one, he works a lot with Grant, and then I'm here every other week, and, you know, prayers up, as my mother would say. And then Lorenzo, you know, came in for a bit here, and I'm happy he's here because he thinks I'm funny, especially when I make fun of Grant. And you probably heard the dulcet tones of Michael Miller, but he only came in for a moment to get a hot dog because basically he thinks this is a drive-through. So, by the way, that's another nice thing that's happened since COVID is I've gotten to know Michael better. I didn't really know Michael very well.
He's the funny one in the family.
You know, gotten to know the two of you. I think you're both very funny. I think one of the nicest things that I can say about both of you is there really are no other people that I know who love Miami more.
That's for sure.
You love this community. What you do is hard work. It's a labor of love. Publishing is hard. Selling ads is hard.
Hey, listen,
And you've powered through all of that, through the ups, the downs, the sideways.
30 more years. I got 30 more years.
I feel like you may have more than that.
Nope, 97. I'm calling it quits.
At 97?
Yeah, I'm calling it quits.
Well, the good news is that Viagra will be even cheaper by then. Oh, you mean quit the newspaper business. Anyway, I love you, Grant Miller.
Love you too.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for loving our chamber. A couple weeks from now, we'll be talking about more about our annual meeting, which is at the end of the month, August 22nd, 23rd. If you're not a member, now's the time. Beginning of the new year is coming up here in September. You've got goals. We've got goals. Let's do them together. Let's align. Let's collaborate. Let's have a great chamber year.
Have a great